I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Winston Public Works, Utilities, and Environment Committee, and it's 10 a.m. on Thursday, July 3rd, 2025. So I'd like to take a roll call. Carmen Gasparo here. Rob Lucknow, present. Herb Bigley, present. We have Dave Dermett also attending, and Travis Wells and Scott. So there's an opportunity for public comment. There is no one in the room. Is there anyone online that we can see? No. Okay. So we'll close that. The next order of business is to review the minutes, approve them. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to look those over. They seem complete to me. Any corrections or additions?
I wasn't there, so I'd have to.
Right.
I'll end up with the same.
Yeah.
All right.
Make a
So
motion to approve the minutes from the May 1st, 2025 meeting on the Public Works and Environmental Committee.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we have a 3-0 on approving the minutes.
Actually, 2-0.
So one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
You're absolutely right.
No problem. No worries.
2 and 1 abstention. So at this point, then we're going to move into Scott's Department of Public Works report.
Okay, so the extra packet that I gave you to kind of follow along with the report. So we've gone through the first one is about water disparity and the amount of money that we're losing and the acceptable percentage of water loss from what we take in compared to what we get paid out. So the first page is 2025. We've gone through the second quarter. And the first quarter, we were at 21.21% loss. That's for those of you in the audience that are wondering what that means. It means the water that comes in from Caledonia that goes through the meter that we have to pay for. And then as it travels through our mains and goes to the service lines before it gets to the meter at the house that we gets accounted for, that we get reimbursed, we are losing 21% of our water supply, which ends up being an awful lot of money that we're losing, that the village is on the hook for.
Well, that was different from last year. Looks like we were.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of put the 25 on there and I put the 24 on there. So in the first quarter, we were at 21 and change. Second quarter, we were at 17, just shy of 18%. And then if you look at the 2024 readings, they have we're pretty similar in the first and second quarter from last year, and then in the third and fourth quarter we're way down. So according to PSC levels, they consider 10% or lower acceptable. Anything above that sends major red flags now. So they're basically tell us to get our stuff in order to not have so much loss, which may or may not affect the rate study and all that other kind of stuff, but they look at all those numbers. So just so you're aware. So my theory is, because I only have 2 years worth of data that I can go from that I've been monitoring, but my theory is that in the cold, in the winter, the ground is getting cold, and it, depending on the frost, the last 2 years we haven't had that crazy of frost, but the ground still gets cold, and I think things are shrinking. And as they're shrinking, it's pulling the main apart, which we have rubber gaskets in our system. And I think they're pulling out a little bit and creating the leaks. And then when, the third quarter starts, which is June, the ground's heating up and things are getting better. And I think it's just a push and pull kind of a deal. And then we see less. Because it doesn't compute like we have a lot of people that leave for the winter. Not that would necessarily cause less disparity because this is all being accounted for before it gets to the meter. But you know, as people use it, it runs through. Otherwise, it just sits stagnant in the line up to their meter. And if they leave for winter, you know, it doesn't get used. But so that's my theory so far, but I don't have enough information to make that, you know, that's exactly what it is yet. So I have to call in a company, and we called one in last year to do it, but they didn't show up until June. They're very, very busy. There's only a handful of them that take care of the entire state. So we get them when we get them. And last year they showed up, and I think they showed up in June or July. And the guy went around and he goes, "It's quiet. You don't have any issues." I'm like, well, that's not what this is saying. So I'd like to get him in like January and see if he can hear anything.
Have you cross-referenced these quarters with any of the leaks from the standpoint of when we've had a break or anything like that to see if
Some of them have, some of them do correlate, you know, they do align to a certain degree, but some of them don't, you know. So like this particular one, from what I would call it, we had a pretty clean quarter. We had the issue at Council House on 3 Mile Road, but that only and it was when we uncovered it and fixed it, it was literally the gasket was pulled out. So it was just spraying like a fan spray out. And that's what it was doing. It just eventually saturated. I don't know how long it was running, maybe for a long time. But when we fixed it, it was only on the second quarter for 5 days. So does that equate to 17%? I mean, that's a lot.
Well, I would say more of if, let's say, third quarter and fourth quarter because of the warmer weather work, then maybe it is a little bit there. But okay.
Yeah, we're trying to get a handle on it. We're just trying to figure it out as far because we're just dumping money in where we shouldn't really have
Just help
to.
me. How do I read this again?
So the first quarter and the second quarter, the Caledonia readings are what the water went through their meter that we took on.
Like
That's the amount.
Would say it was 61.
Correct.
Okay, and
then in the wind point is what is tallied when we go do our meter reads every quarter, every quarter. That's the total that Monica gets, and ours was 67. So the village used like 5,381 is what I'm seeing, you know, as far as the discrepancy between the two of what we used and what we didn't. And then she takes the consumption, she converts it because we get it in cubic feet and she converts it into units, which is 7.48 gallons per unit, or 748 gallons per unit, sorry. And then basically between the units that we get from Caledonia is 17,000 and change. And what we took in, what we read was 14,000. Basically, it's saying that 3,190 units in the second quarter went unaccounted for. They went through Caledonia's meter and they read it, and we have to pay for it. And by the time it got to our meter, it was gone. So it just disappeared somewhere in the system, and it's somewhere. We just don't know. But, you know, as the PSC states that, you know, there is no perfect system. You know, you're never going to get a 0%. I don't care if you're brand new and you just opened up you put it brand new in yesterday and you fired it up, you're still going to have something. It's not going to be perfect. It's, you know, human nature. So
Scott, to Rob's point, and you've answered this, there doesn't seem to be a correlation with the breaks, but have we updated, you know, the map with the breaks to the water mains?
Yeah, we have one on our inside of our door that we write down when one happens, and they've been using that map for when Randy was here. So we have historical value.
Is this something that Baxter maintains for us, or you just write on it?
I just write on.
Okay. Because at one point Baxter was tracking that information, but I suppose that's something we have to ask them. They actually put it on update.
Yeah, they made a fancy little map,
yeah.
But they basically took the information from the one that was written on, and they just turned it into a color-coded thing that looks pretty, you know, that you can visually see it better. So
is that statistically someone could, do you have to go to the map to get the dates and all that of when things happen, or is it kind of cataloged in a?
No, well, there is a spreadsheet that was created, but it was actually up to the people that were entering it. So Randy did it a little bit. I'm doing it. It kind of fell off the table for a couple people that didn't implement some of the stuff. So as far as having
The only-
historical value, of
The
the
only reason for
spreadsheet.
the question is it seems like there might be some correlation, but there really
There
isn't.
is, there
Yeah.
is, but I think that's what the PSC allots the 10%.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have your little leaks here and there, and then you're going to have an incident and they think it's acceptable for the 10%. When you start getting to 21, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's like 1/5 of your water that you're taking in is gone.
And so the
That's a
age of the
lot.
system is 50 plus years,
60,
60 years plus.
give or take.
Entire system.
Not the entire thing, but the majority of it.
And where the
80%
breaks are happening.
on 4 Mile Road, and not on 4 Mile, I'm sorry, on Lighthouse. Basically from
This curve.
here
Yeah.
north is where we've had the most. We had one in the condos earlier this year. And we had,
The Johnson.
3 Mile Road. We had one. And that wasn't actually a break. It was more of a line that was stubbed out for a future project that never materialized. So they teed it off the main and they just stubbed it off with a gate and buried it under 8 feet of ground. And that is what leaked. So it's not the main per se. It was more of a future that never happened kind of a thing. Future development that never happened.
In my time.
There's a lot more around.
In my time on the board, we've had 5 from the house up here all the way up to the curb. on this
Yeah,
side.
I know in front of Maribor, they've had one. We had one
Yeah,
last year, the one by
in the
west side.
winter time,
Yeah. Yeah. So we've had our share, but you know, everybody does. Every municipality, every utility does.
How much of the breaks cost us on average?
About right now with the contractor doing it, if we do in totality from the minute the contractor gets here and repairs it and to us restoring it with the contractor, doing the asphalt, we're looking at about 11,000, somewhere in
I
that range.
remember right, you signed the checks anywhere from 8 to
So,
12.
Like,
And
purpose.
One was like 15. or
Yeah,
something.
the Wind Point one, that was a bad one.
Yeah.
So that one was expensive, but the one in Parkfield in the condos, that one to restore that was $4,000 to put it back as asphalt. That was just $4,000 for that. And
Just
I
for
think
asphalt,
the contractor to repair it was $8,000.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. I'm going off of memory. I don't know exactly, but it's somewhere in that range. So
just
that's
figure-
about average.
Just figure 10, 12 all day long.
So
Well, pretty
so-
much.
So far, it cost us about $100,000.
Not this year.
Not
No,
this
in
year, but I-
total. In total.
My
Oh, I
gosh,
would
it's
say
total,
easily in the
a
last
lot
few
more
years.
than
Yeah.
that. Yeah, a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the person you have inspect is a certified engineer, the person who comes in and said, you know, like it was all clear when they were here.
Oh, it's a company. They're a leak locating company that's what they do for a living, and they actually use a correlator. It's a unit that they put on headphones, and they put like for lack of a better term, it's like a plunger. It looks like a toilet plunger, and they set it on the main, and they just work their way down the line, like putting it every 3 feet.
So
And then they listen, and you can hear it. So a water main sounds very quiet. You can hear a hiss for the water moving through it. But if there's a leak, it's a loud noise that you can hear. It's very, and you can hear like rocks bouncing around. Like kind of.
And so that came back clear, essentially.
Yeah, it's a definitive. You know what it is because they're magnifying the sound with this plunger unit that goes on their headphones.
And so how do you get them here in the winter? I guess is the jam.
You gotta call them up, and there's three companies. There's 2 in Waukesha, and there's one in like Zion, Illinois, or something like that.
They probably don't want to do it then, but that's the theory is.
They don't want to
that's-
do it then.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
I'm just saying proactively, I'd like to see us get that accomplished because that seems to be a key.
I think so. I will know better like when we come up on the third quarter,
Sure.
if it drops like it did last year.
And that's pretty
Well,
clear.
then we got some consistency.
It's warm, it swells, it
Yeah.
heals itself.
Yeah, it's not 100%.
But
For
even
the-
if you have the answer, there's nothing you can do short of the
There's
repair
nothing we
and
can do.
replace.
Just acknowledge it.
Yeah.
That's
And-
it. You're not going to dig up the whole thing and replace gaskets everywhere. It's just not feasible.
Correct.
So you just got to understand what you got and start plugging away.
So what does the PSC then say to us if, let's say we end up for some reason ended up where we are with about 15% if you average it out throughout the whole year loss.
Mhm.
Did they come in and just say, you're now gonna be part of Caledonia's and?
No, so the PSC
or
doesn't
force us
care.
To borrow, I mean,
No, the PSC doesn't care. So I found this out from Travis and Ellers, but the P and our auditors, but the PSC doesn't care. They get our report every year and they just put it on a shelf. Just and they acknowledge that they received it, that we submitted it. However, when you do a rate case,
then they pull it up.
that's when they pull all your records off the wall and they start looking at it line by line by line, and then they start asking questions. But to your point, it was the DNR who approached us last year that said, you guys need to get your stuff in order. Otherwise, you're going to start getting fines because you're not operating your system the way it should be operated. So they're the ones that came down on us for other things too.
I got
You know, there was other things that we needed to accomplish, but that was, they basically said we were failing as a system. So,
So again, back to the napkin type math that I've shared a couple times, you take the number of miles of road, which I would assume that's where water is as well, times
For the most part.
times $362 a linear foot that we're finding out from our rough ballpark.
yeah,
We're
that's
supposed to
what
have
I
it
got
right
from Artie Smith.
now. You know, that's like closing at $27 million. And we don't have that as a village. What happens when somebody says, you guys are so bad at this? What
Well,
happens?
I think for the most part, as long as they acknowledge, and I mean, it's a great segue into the next thing I'm talking about, but it's more of an acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement of what you have and what you have to deal with and how you're going to approach it. What's your plan? That's what it's more like. They don't expect you to stop, drop 27, and nobody can do that. No utility can do that. But they want to see a plan that you have something going forward that you're trying to rectify the situation.
Gotcha. So
Whether that's a
4
CIP or
4
whatever.
miles, one of them,
Sure.
CIP, is another.
Those are all steps.
Those are all
Yeah.
steps.
It's just a plan.
Do they allow the utility to make up the loss in the rate calculation? Because otherwise it'll vaporize, or the village will have to subsidize it.
I heard no. I heard if you know that you have a project coming up and you need to pay for it, you cannot raise your rates to pay for
It has
that
to be what's
project.
in the ground.
Correct. Yeah. So you have to do a rate increase or rate study just to make yourself competitive. So and based on that report card so your financing is you're operating it like a business, not like a government entity. That's the key. So you got to prepare for that. So like in other places where I've been, it's been the financing for the utility has been very good. So if you have a leak, an incident, it's not a big deal. You have the money in your savings, you have the funding, you pay for it, it's all good. If you're going to do a project and you're going to replace 2 blocks worth or something like that, it's all good. You have the money. That's what you've been preparing for, and you have that ability to do that. So, and then some are better than others. Like when I came from Cudahy, I bought a $300,000 sewer back truck with cash. And we're fine. And I was still funding 8 personnel out of that utility to work for us. That was paying their wage and paying their salary. 8 people out of 17 was being
Out of
paid
all their
for
water
out of the
bills?
utility. Plus I paid. Now they're bigger, but it's all relative. So is the workforce, so is the equipment and everything. They had a lot of stuff. So it's all relative. You know, you have a lot coming in, but you got a lot going out too. So it's just they started the utility a long time ago, and they were keeping up with, for the most part, and they were putting it away and putting in savings for preparing for what may or may not happen later on, you know?
And we were charging people most likely just enough to cover our what we were paying ourselves.
That's
just
No reserves.
kind of what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, is it? I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
Well, I mean, from based on the audit report, it looks like it. I mean, they even flagged it on Tuesday.
I guess what I'm getting at
It's like-
is how are our water rates gonna sustain to get the improvements? Let's say we're doing improvements. We just went to PSC and said, hey, we're losing this and we're gonna slowly run out of
Just
money.
repairs and replacements, maintenance, yeah.
I mean, for instance, like we need to start because our meters, according to the PSC, they need to be replaced in 20 years.
Mhm.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to replace them in 20 years in Wisconsin. I heard other states don't do that. They allow you to go way past it, but in Wisconsin, that's different. I have to put in the budget to borrow as part of the operations to borrow to buy meters. I shouldn't be able to do that. I shouldn't be doing that. It should be the utility that's improving and upgrading their system and buying the meters. That's what should be happening.
Well, the other point is how do we get to that?
Well, and then the other problem I was thinking about this the other day, we're so spread out. We're not like some other municipalities in Cutting, they got a house on top of a house on top. So they got
Correct.
you got 2-3 neighbors, in the same width, maybe, or well, 2, let's say, that maybe we have one house, and then you go around a nice pretty curve that is, somebody's yard, and maybe in the city, their very house there, you have more people paying in, and we don't.
Right. I mean, there's all different factors, but I think what it boils to, I think the most egregious thing is, 21% of our money we're losing.
Yeah.
Before we even start. I mean, we're losing it. So I just wanted to make you aware since we just got done with our latest meter read.
Does the current rate case have a depreciation value in it to start building the reserve, or is it?
As far as finances go,
There's a rate case going on right now, so they have identified money, if we're not been collecting depreciation for the last 50 years for some reason, are we doing it now? Is a current rate case?
There's-
Take an existing asset and starting to recover.
There's not enough money in the account. Not enough money to be liquid enough to borrow or to put that away. And he just pulled out of the reserves to cover what we can.
No, I'm saying, what in the current rate case, are we doing anything in the current rate case?
that's
Well,
on
it-
ours.
That's just making up for what we have now. We can't even start thinking about that because we're gonna have to do another rate case next year again. In order to even get ahead to do that.
I was on the PSC webinar. Heck day is today, Thursday. I think it was Monday or something like that. I was on a PSC webinar and they were talking to a utility and they said that they do a simplified rate case every year, regardless of what's going on, and they do it at 3% every year. Doesn't matter.
I think that one.
And as long as they're communicating, and letting the residents know and let them know
Yeah.
why and what's going on and promote their stuff, everybody seemed to be okay. I don't know if that's true. Maybe not.
Oh, you just get used to it because there's nothing you can do. I mean, if it goes 3% a year, everything else going up 3% a year.
But again, that's what you build.
But since our last rate case, that's 10, 11 years, 3%. I mean, then you compound that, we're probably missing close to 45%.
And I don't know for a fact because I don't have the sheets, but I'm assuming Caledonia did. They probably raised it within that time. So if we stayed the same, Caledonia's raising, we're paying more for,
Yeah.
we're not at least, keeping it equal, I guess. I don't know.
Your point about was the depreciation asset and all that and building it into the rate case. I'm not familiar. I mean, Ellers is familiar
Ellers,
with all
yeah.
that. And it just simply, what's the answer to that? Is it just isn't the state that we're in, it is not feasible to build that into the rate case, or it is considered, but it doesn't have an impact.
Not yet. I mean,
Not yet.
we haven't, we're trying to get to like fixing the difference in like the costs and expenditures of that.
Does that
So
make sense?
Well, yeah, but I mean, if we've identified something that we haven't done for multiple decades.
Long time.
We should at least start building it in.
Right.
Like, I think Rob said, you're not gonna spend $27 million in the next 5 years.
No,
There's no way.
No, not gonna
For the
happen.
next 40 years.
Yeah.
So we identify the right projects at the right time and then get the rate case to start building that reserve.
yeah, and that's the goal of keeping up with Caledonia and keeping up because that no one's kept up with Caledonia. We haven't. Caledonia's been going up and we've just been sitting and you're allowed whenever Caledonia does a case, we can counter that and an inflationary one. So, and no one has done that and no one has done a single adjustment in the water. So we have a lot of catching up to do.
and I think it was, if I'm answering your question too, I think it was kind of talked about that in order for us to get where we really need to be, it didn't make a lot of sense to make that jump because people's jaws would have hit the ground. If we truly would have done what we need to do, I think the percentage would have been just astronomical. And I don't think you really want to do that, if I'm not mistaken. I thought that was a conversation we had like
Okay.
6 months ago or something,
So, I mean, if we.
when Eller started this whole
If we
thing.
would go around the whole room, okay, which obviously we're gonna be slowing that down, obviously, because we're learning so much and it's so costly, but just if you would race it all the way around, I think my water bill would go from $110 to over $300.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
that doesn't include side streets and everything else.
That would be, I think,
I talked to my wife this morning, I was in her shape, and I'm like, you need to shorten up your showers. She goes, that's not gonna change.
Together.
I was like, okay, start selling assets.
Okay.
We had a chuckle like this. Anyway, I did say it.
before I move on, is there any other like questions?
No, thank you for pointing that out. These are things that I would tell you that at some point, we might want to share this with the public. I
It's
know
on the
we-
website.
I know we say it is, we're hitting a point where this can get so ugly that I would just maybe throw this out, and just say, hey, you've got a newer staff here in the last year or two. This has obviously come to a head in our time here, and here's how we're trying to deal with it. Just a thought. I mean, you don't have to, but I know it's on the website, but then we have people who will say people aren't looking at the website, so
There's people in the village, especially older people, that don't even have computers. They frankly don't.
Yeah,
I mean, I know Judy across the street from you doesn't have a computer, doesn't have a cell phone, still has a landline. And I mean, there's still are some people, so I think, a mailing, once a quarter, once a year, something that's in somebody's hand.
Just to those people who have,
Yeah, if people have signed up
Doesn't have to
for
be a
their.
global thing. The ones
Yeah.
who-
Web
Who
access.
don't get this electronic.
Yeah.
I mean, we put all that in the tax insert, that there was gonna be a water case, there's gonna be a full
Yeah.
revaluation, and people still don't.
yeah,
They don't.
I got you.
It's a waste of time and money because people still are gonna call, be like, I didn't know about this. Well, we
It was
sent
in
it
your
out.
tax
We
bill.
put it in the paper. We put it in everything.
yeah,
I
we're
mean,
obligated to, right?
yeah, we put it in all the newspapers for people that don't have online access. So
Your point though was about this, the water, or about the quality,
That stuff and even this.
the quality.
The grades.
posted.
The grades,
So-
because the grades basically scream, hey, this is why the infrastructure, this is why your stuff's gonna go on.
Right, so this was brand new. So I'll go on to the next one if there's no other questions about the first one, but this is brand new this year. They just started doing it and they pulled this information from the 2022-23 year. What they found out, and I went that same PSC webinar, they talked about this. So this isn't necessarily going to dictate and take place of the current consumer the consumer quality report that we have to do every year for the PSC. But a lot of people have been complaining about that report, and we put it on the website. It's in the build, we have to advertise it. We have to send it out by mailing for businesses that don't have access to our stuff. We're supposed to put a QR code on the water bill, letting them know of the CCR report. And we do all that, but what the complaints are coming in as is that people just don't understand it. It's just a bunch of numbers with a bunch of percentages for chemicals, and nobody understands what that all means. So nobody pays attention to it.
And this is an attempt to try to,
This is an attempt to make it a little bit more user-friendly. It's a non-biased consultant that is out of Madison that puts this together, and they put it together for every water utility in the state. You can go, I believe they show, I can't remember if they have the website on here, but I know in the packet that was sent out, they do have the website on there. This is just the report card, but they have the website, and you can go look at anybody's water utility if you want. I mean, it has everybody's report card on there, but I just wanted to focus on ours. So just to kind of go through this quickly, the water quality is basically has nothing to do with us. We're the benefits of what we receive. So Racine is the one that gets this grade. They're the ones that treat the water and send it out. We were just the benefit of that. So that's why it's such a high grade. because we get good quality water. Now, my wife brought up a point. Does anybody sample the water that comes out of Wind Point's taps to see if it's as good of quality as it runs through its Seams pipes, as it runs through Caledonia's pipes, and then it gets to ours? And we do not, and they do not. We only do chlorine samples and HA5 and trichlorine or something like that. The TTHN, we do that quarterly too, but we don't do all this stuff that they have on there. We don't do that. But so we benefit from the water quality, the infrastructure. We didn't do so well on. They break it down as to where they get those grades from. You can read into all that if you choose. But basically it's covering, upgrading your system, the fact of how many incidents that you have or that you reported. And this is all this information is pulled off the PSC report that we have, that every utility has to give every year.
Well, infrastructure, you have 2 zeros, which is why the grade is so bad. You have water loss per 100 miles in gallons, and weighted replacement rate, which I would assume is in line. They aren't doing it.
Correct.
There's your 2 zeros.
Correct. So that's why we got a poor grade. The financing is kind of what we just talked about, that we're not putting away for a rainy day or for an emergency type stuff. And they basically say that we're supposed to be able to survive in case if I'm not mistaken, we're supposed to be able to survive for 2 or 3 months, kind of like a house situation. Like if something happened and you lost your job, you could pay your bills for 3 months. That's your kitty you're supposed to have, and we don't. From what they pulled, I don't know if that's not true or not, but that's what they got. So that's kind of why we got such a poor grade in finance also. And then the communications, that will change, but basically what I heard from the webinar is that they have their little interns go onto our website and try to pull information about our utility off of that. And if they can get to it easily, you get good grades. If they can't find anything and they're struggling to find stuff, you get a poor grade.
I remind you that this is the old website
It
that they
is.
pulled from.
Yeah.
It is 22 and 23. So we'll go up a little bit. I don't know. He said even if you make the necessary changes, it's that you're not going to go from an F to an A. You'll go up a little bit, but they want to see
Is there some
consistency.
Is there, okay, so is there something, is it called like a sampling bias meeting? Let's say I'm the intern that did it last year, I'm the person who doesn't, and I get your new website, I'm like, well, there's no way that this is good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know.
You should be able to go to an A.
I think they just have a
Aesthetically.
checklist kind of a thing
Yeah.
that they just try to find
I
this.
got you.
But, and they said that currently right now, this has no effect on if you do want to do a rate case.
Okay.
Currently, right now, they don't because it's brand new. They want to get a couple years in before they do, but they said they are gravitating to this
Yeah.
because this is more in depth and it goes into the areas that they want to know about rather than just look at a bunch of chemicals like the quality report is. So if you have any questions about that, but that is on the website, correct? Yeah. So maybe we'll go up in communication because we put that on there.
But there is a checklist. I mean, basically in communications, you can see the things you have to hit. And so that would be something that
Yeah.
committee would work on as far as, being able to communicate that.
Yeah.
Using those resources.
That's all on there now. I just think that the
It's just
website was just god awful and you couldn't find anything, and it would and if you were using it on a mobile phone, none of the links would work. So that's why
I think, isn't it one of the
yeah,
qualifications? is a
mobile friendly, and
yeah,
it was a
mobile
0.
friendly.
I mean, it's 0 on everything because the website was just I don't know. So
This place will sort of run like, I don't want anything to go out, nothing's breaking, and no offense, just like we're part-time, and what we don't know, we don't know.
Yeah.
Until something breaks, then you're like, oh man. You know?
So, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that. Hopefully we'll do better next year. The next one is the public informational meeting. Kind of discussing about that a little bit. I thought it went really well.
you want to wait and put that to the agenda then?
Sure. All right, the other one is the culvert. I just wanted you all to be aware. I know it's in the packet. Rip Pike Wind submitted their their findings and they were, you know, their presentation and stuff like that. And then it was part of the DNR that was part of it too. They did find a fish that apparently does go upstream, and the guy was holding it in his hand. I forgot what it was called. He couldn't determine if it was a western or eastern.
Killifish?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So apparently that's a thing. And so they want to really promote that. They're willing to help us out with grants and with other kind of opportunities to help pay for it. Me and Jason being the consultant for RA Smith, we already were on a Zoom call with the DNR and Root Pike Wind, our stormwater permit people that assigned from the DNR that assigned us for the stormwater permit. They were on. They have, you know, big grandiose plans, you know, but it's a lot easier to have those plans when you're not flipping the bill for it.
Oh, I was
So
gonna ask that.
they have their wish list is pretty large. So sure, in a perfect world, it would be freaking awesome, but it's not a perfect world. So we were kind of, you know, telling them to kind of pump the brakes a little bit. You know, it's, you know, we're actually paying for it. So is it is it needed? Or what is that cliche? Is it necessary, or is it a want, or is it a need kind of a thing? So we were kind of talking to them about that, but they assured us that they could get us the money to do that, and they're very excited because there's not a lot of that type of project stuff going on in southeastern Wisconsin, and they can really promote themselves really well.
So you're referring to this whole pack as a two-part environmental
Yeah, correct.
corridor.
So when or if
Who did this study? I know they did it.
Root Pike Wind,
And it's private, they fund it,
correct?
and
I think
they
they're
also
state
there are
funded.
references to Johnson.
Yeah, and apparently they have a really good relationship with SC Johnson. They do a lot of work for them.
So there may be some interest.
No, most of the property is theirs.
Yeah,
That's affected by this.
Yeah.
yeah.
You
We
know,
will build whatever they all
And
want,
so-
as long as they find us the money, sure.
Depending on what happens,
Ultimately, what they want is right now it's a culvert. What they want is they want a bridge. That's what they want. So they want one side, they want two pipes going through the bridge. It's going to be a very broad bridge, meaning long, not wide, just long on the existing road. And they want to put one on one side that is shallower, and then they want to put one on the other side that's deeper. That's what they want to promote this fish and environmental and all this other stuff that they got all in their findings. So that's what they want.
and that's your point about it being a noble objective. It's a wish list. There is no funding.
Currently,
Now,
no.
there could be some grant money that they could help facilitate.
Oh, yeah,
It
absolutely.
affects Johnson, and whether or not they have an interest in.
Yeah, and according to their map, it does connect to a lot of tributaries that are us also.
And of course,
It
it
just
just
go
goes
through
through
that.
park, which is a large part,
Correct.
Seen from that standpoint of ownership.
Right.
And what happens there. But
So
there-
it'll be a
things in the mix
huge
there as well.
conversation later on. Lot more to come. Whether Lighthouse Drive gets done or not, doesn't matter. This has no effect on Lighthouse Drive. This is purely to fix what was perceived to have to be fixed, and we did the temporary fix to kind of hold it in place for now. And again, I don't know if any of you go down there to look, but the east side is now failing. So there was one or two of those. It's kind of like what's that game, Jenga? So it's not the top pieces that are pulling out, it's the bottom ones. And there's actually I think there's like 2 or 3 that are actually out laying in the creek, and the gravel you can see is washing out from behind it. So I think it's only a matter of time. I wasn't here, so I don't know how the west side was progressing, if it was similar to this. I just know that in the game of Jenga, you start pulling stuff off the bottom and eventually the top's going to go. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be next week or anything, but I'm just saying it's starting to do that on the other side too. So,
Would it make sense to take any kind of remedial action on that, or you just watch it?
I think we're just going to watch it for now and we'll get into conversations with the DNR and Root Pike to do something. And if they can find the money and
If Ari Smith
Great,
had
but-
again, back of the, whatever you want to write on type math, could he even come up with what a bridge would cost?
No, I think they could definitely
what?
come up with something.
Like a
Well, how much
bridge,
did we pay him? I'm just talking
A
off the top.
quote,
of his head.
like, I'm sure I could ask them.
like,
I would.
like for to replace as is or what? the-
What?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
I could get something like that. I
would
could do
say
like an
both.
as is.
I would do both.
Yeah,
I do
Best
as is, and
wish.
I would do the root bite went one, and so we know what we're dealing with. And
and
then-
Jason's recommendation, because I know he has a recommendation.
His
so,
recommendation is to keep it the way it is
yeah, so.
and not worry about the fist passage, but I don't know how much pull the DNR has, and I don't know, we haven't gotten into that world yet. So right now, it's just nice people talking and having a conversation. Eventually, I don't know if push will come to shove or what the deal will be.
What's the dimension of the box culvert? I mean, what's,
Right now, it's 6 foot,
6 foot?
so it's not considered a bridge. It's just considered a culvert right
And
now.
that's not adequate for a fish to get up that creek that's dry
No.
a lot of the year.
They need that. So
I lived next to it for.
Apparently,
years.
their study, they say that there is evidence of that fish going
I'm
up
sure
there.
fish can
So
get up there, but
I don't know how they do now.
Whether they
It's
get
like
that down
gravel.
or-
yeah, it runs dry a lot of the year.
And maybe it's because the fact that it's been washed in for so long and the creek is no longer the depth it was originally and now it's filled up. Who knows? I don't know.
Just dredge it and, because really our repair, the box culvert itself is in good shape, it's just to rebuild the retaining walls, right?
yeah, the box culvert is-
From what I understand, yeah, from the initial, I wasn't here for the initial design, but I think Baxter and Woodman's plan was to shove a square, shove a circular round piece through a square hole kind of a thing. That's what they were gonna do.
I was at the
But
box
if-
culvert's still in good shape, it's the retaining walls.
Yeah, that's an engineer's decision, not mine. But yeah,
And dredge.
yeah. So,
Okay.
but that's their wish list, what they were talking about
How much do you think would that cost?
for
As is,
replacement as is.
replacement? Yeah.
Well, we got quotes for, what was it, 500 and 450 or something
We
like that.
started out at like 240, went to 280, went to 360, 550 was.
So
we
the,
fixed it for
yeah, 30 grand,
30 grand.
something like that.
You got
So-
reimbursement.
Yeah, right. I think it only costs us like 13 or 12 or something like that to do. But, as far as that goes, I mean, you obviously would get a better price. So if somebody has to use that as a project, and as we bid it out last year, there's not a lot of people qualified, and there's not a lot of people that are willing to break away from the big jobs to go do the little job. That only takes 2 weeks. They want to go to like your Reismans, your Oaks and Son. Those guys want to go to some place where they're on it for the entire summer. And they're working on it. It's a huge project. That's what they're focusing on. This would just be a filler project. And unfortunately, with the DNR involved, they're giving us such a tight window to do what we need to do that it doesn't make it feasible or entertaining for a company to take it on. So what they'll do is they'll just say, you know what, if we get it, we get it. If we don't, we don't. I don't really care. Throw a high number out there, and if I get it, great. If I don't, no harm. So I'm not going to worry about it. And that's unfortunately where we're at with that, because the DNR has got such tight windows for us, like 3 weeks here and 6 weeks there, kind of a deal.
Because
So
of the.
it's going to be high.
The fish,
Well, yeah,
spawning.
apparently for that Western, whatever that hammer, whatever that fish was called. But yeah,
Daily Gale, Phillips,
yeah,
Under Lewis, the alchemist.
yeah. The little tiny little
That
thing.
Golf course swale may not be there in a year.
No, because we haven't seen any plans for Shoops Park and the
Yeah,
golf
like,
course or
just
anything yet.
Conceptually, what they're planning.
Yeah, I don't know if
Sure,
there's
they
any
can fill in.
conceptual or anything. I just know they're required by the DNR from that individual that talked. He said they'd have to repair the bluff. That's all they're really focusing on design for right now, aren't they?
Yeah, they've had conversations with DNR.
Yeah. So I'm assuming they're aware of that.
Yeah, they don't do anything.
Yeah.
He had 3 people on that call the other day.
And they said they've had
If
like,
not 4.
walkthroughs with the DNR down here already. And
Yeah.
It was like 6-hour walkthrough, so.
Well, it sounds like a lot of things will come together over time, whether it's incorporating this or other plans that are in the works, as well as our own plans for the improvements to the road.
And obviously, if it were to the point where we did do lighthouse, that culvert would be part of that project. So you'd probably get a better price because they're already here and they would be a subcontractor for it would just be a better price.
And that's why.
But
we
it doesn't
decided to
mean
repair, not-
It would be cheap. I'm just saying it would be a better price. Better price could be, 10,000 less. That's a better price. Doesn't make it better. And then the next one is the recycling grant that I have on there, just so you're aware, that's the money that we received back from the state for doing the good deed.
Nothing extra this year.
Yeah, it's pretty much what we're gonna get every year. It's gonna be pretty much standard. We're not increasing or doing anything different or nothing like that. And I don't know finance wise, I don't know how much of a real dent that makes in what we pay to have that done. I can't imagine a whole lot.
That was another thing. It took them a couple of years and then they did it in two things to pass on the actual cost of the recycling. So the residents all put that back in their pocket, but then the village took it out of their pocket. So
Yeah.
there's $47,000.
Yeah, there used to be a lot more that was dedicated to municipalities and then that kind of ended, I think.
You're talking about the tax credits.
No, I'm talking about the recycling can be separated out on a tax bill, and they didn't put in a tax bill, and then when they did, they only did half of it, and so for sure that was 20 some low 20s that we lost. And again, I don't. I wasn't there, and everybody, and trust me, my neighbor, I know Dave's a great guy, and my neighbor was a great guy, and he was slagging, but I think there were at times by people on the board who were like, oh my God, the village has got the money in the bank, you can't send that on to Rob, him and his wife are gonna pay $9 more on the taxes. But, add all that $9 up or whatever, it's $20,000 a week after something else. Anyway.
So we get $9,000, $8,600, $9,000 as an award.
Yeah.
And that's year in, year out.
I was hoping when I was reading that, like, is this actually, it doesn't look like it, that's why I got my business.
not a
Did we
lot.
do something better this year? Felt the form better?
Yeah, I think it's on there. How they come up with that calculation.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's like, well, whatever, make everybody feel good.
Yeah.
And then the next one is just so everyone knows, me and Tom went to training for meat hunt for the GIS yesterday. We do have it. It's up and running. We only have one license right now. And that one license is for anyone to use that works in the village. So that includes trustees and everybody. If we decide at one point to have the public have access to it in a read-only format, we have the ability to do that. We just have to purchase another license in order to do that. And then any resident can go on there and take a look at whatever they want to take a look at, parcels and utilities and all that kind of stuff. And it'll have all that information on there. We're in the process of gathering all that information and entering it, all that data. But
Do we owe them some extra money too when I read this in here?
no, this is a submittal for the next phase. Currently, we only have the water in right now, and this would be the storm. That would be the next layer that we would do. And then I'm actually getting a proposal, hopefully in the next week or two from them to get the Paizer ratings, because we're obligated from the state to do the Paizer ratings on our roads every other year, which would be the even years that we're obligated to do it. And that way we'd be able to import that into, since we're doing the Paizer rating, I can put it in the GIS right away instead of having to do it later on. So I'll get a quote on that later on.
And the question was whether or not this is included in what's already been approved.
Correct. So there was a certain amount of money approved. We didn't exceed or get close to that with the first phase. And this next phase would fall, from what I understand, it falls underneath the approved amount to spend. So we'll make sure on that to make sure that we're not going to go over.
I guess I encourage you, if there's the Paizer thing too, add that in if we need to fund it. It'll go appropriately either through PFIC or we just bring it to
the nice thing, I'm only one person. The nice thing is we're almost 300,000 on the good side this year, because we sold Deepwood and because we had a nice donation for the lighthouse, of which we had 145,000 for that. Now again, it could possibly some cost overrun. So I'm not rushing to spend that money. But with everything we're finding out that's broken and the fact that we don't have in-house experts, there are things that need to get done to bring us into the 21st century and to make sure we aren't up on everybody's naughty list. Then thank you for getting those quotes and we'll take a look at them appropriately.
Well, and I think we've all said that the GIS system, which is the, what is it, geographic information,
Informational, yes.
that didn't exist. And a lot of the problems, we don't know where stuff is. And so
Correct.
it had been kicked down, the can that was kicked down the road for a number of years. We finally took action and now have started that process. And I think I would like to encourage having it be complete with all the layers that we need. And it's not a waste of money.
No,
because
it's not.
it's your x-ray vision into what the utilities and what our needs are and the status of things so that we can move forward professionally.
Are they interfacing with utilities, electric and gas?
No, because we don't have access to that stuff. That's We Energies. We don't have access to that stuff.
No
So
one
we can't
does,
incorporate that. No, nobody does. So they won't give us their maps or anything like that to put that in. So we wouldn't have that. We would just be doing water, storm. It's pretty much limitless as far as village assets. It's all village assets. So trees, street signs, water, storm, zoning, permits. We can do anything, attach anything. It's limitless. It really is. It's just, we're obviously not going to get there today or tomorrow. We'll get there eventually. Just it's going to take time.
Can look at Union Grove. They've got some good ones on there.
Yes, exactly. Union Grove is a great example of what they provide for their residents on, is it the cover page, so to speak, or whatever?
Yeah,
They got
you-
dashboards you can click on and stuff. Yeah.
So it's an online resource that
Yeah.
allows.
That's what I'd like to get to for us, for residents, is those quick dashboard, quick look at things just to see how things are going. Those are really nice to have. And then the last thing I have for the report is we just received the salt contract. I do have to call them back. I received it yesterday. I have to call them back because and you weren't there, but we had the conversation that the state bought back our salt last year that we didn't use because it was a mild year, and they were proposing to do that again this year. And if we wanted to be on that list, I needed to email them saying we wanted to be on the list. And I did that, and I never heard anything back from them. And I told them that if the state would not buy back our salt, that I didn't need any because we have enough. I don't want to be on the hook we still have 40 down there that we need to take. And if the state wasn't going to buy it back, then I didn't need to order any. But if the state wasn't going to buy it back, then we need to look into something. Or no, if the state was going to buy it, I needed to order 20 because our barn was full, just to be on the safe side. But if the state wasn't going to buy it back, then I already have 40 down there. I don't need to order any. So don't put me anything on the contract. And they put us down for 20. But they never told me if the state bought it back or not. So I don't know if we have the 40 down there still, and now we actually have 60, which we don't need. So and salt went up. So it's now $90 a ton, where it went up considerably. Supply and demand is what it is. But you in April, for those of you that don't know, in April, you submit what you think you're going to need for the upcoming season, and you put in your order. They gather all the orders from the municipalities that are on the state contract, and they take that to vendors, and they have vendors bid on it. And then whoever comes in at the lowest bid, they go with, and then you receive what the cost of that per ton would be in June or July.
Let's see where you have much demand with mild winters now.
Correct. But you can't predict. And I always heard that you get fired if you have a bad winter and you don't have any salt. That was like 7 years ago, it was like that. Where, at the last place I was at, we were the only ones that had like 200 tons of salt left and everybody else was out. And you couldn't get it. And there were people that were shipping it and having it trucked from Kansas. God, you can only imagine how much per ton that cost. But you need it because people need, you don't want to drive on roads that are slippery. So you make sure that you have enough. You just got to play that dice game and see what the weather, go by trends and see what the weather's gonna be like, whether or not you can do it.
The other dynamic is the brine too is
Yeah, that helps.
increasing and in use, and that requires less salt.
It does. But, you know, with salt going up and you need salt to make brine and that cost goes up too, but not a lot. But yeah, I would love to get into more brine and more liquid application than putting down salt granule because it's a lot less. It's better for the environment. It's just a win all around. So it's a good thing.
Hopefully you'll get that squared away then with a phone call.
I hope so. It's just I gotta call the state. So good luck.
And it's stored, where's it stored in Milwaukee?
Jones Island underneath the home bridge.
Yeah.
You'll see if anybody that goes over there, you'll see the
Oh,
big
yeah.
monster piles of salt.
Ever since I was a little kid. it was-
Yeah.
And then you see them slowly dwindle as it comes to winter. But this past winter, those big monster piles of salt were still there.
Yeah.
They're usually supposed to be gone, but
So we have, how much in our shed?
it's full. So we took on 20 ton delivery last year to fill it. It's full all the way to the door. So that it estimated it holds 150 or 130, something like that.
And then we have 40.
Yeah, yeah,
and
40.
Maybe another 20, but hopefully not.
No, yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Very good. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, so then moving on to our action items, we have, the first one is discussion and possibly take action on the 4 Mile Road design from the public information meeting on June 24th. And so,
So is there any relevant feedback from that you? need to
Oh
address?
shoot, I forgot to talk about that. Well, we can talk about it here.
that was the point.
Yeah. So I had one individual call me. And then there was another individual resident that called me just asking questions. But the one individual that called me is adamant on not going forward with the design as it pertains to their house because it was shown that their privacy hedges that are in the road are in the right of way and are to be removed because of storm and stuff like that. And he feels that that's not appropriate and it shouldn't happen. And he refuses to have them ripped out. So I talked to him yesterday and today. And he said it was a pleasant conversation. It was nice. But he said if he has to, he'll take it to the nth degree. So we got that coming down the line. But it was purely about the removal of trees and stuff like that he has on the right of way line.
But as far as the meeting, your comment was any other feedback? You were at it, Rob?
I was
at it. I was
I
not.
had the same resident. I would assume, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Say that he was against it. Other than that, I did have some people from the White House,
Yeah.
came and they were just like, hey, is this gonna be the same width? And we're like, hey, we haven't gotten there yet. And all that, just said, but we had one person sort of say, well, this is gonna be expensive. And I'm like, when's it not gonna be expensive? And so I settled them down and told them, hey, when have you seen us do a road project in this municipality in the last 20 years since we did the loop?
Yeah, other than a slurry coat
Yeah,
or chip seal.
yeah. And slag. So, and the great thing about the slag is it extended those roads. The
Sure.
bad thing about the slag is all the slag roads are going to come and do it at the same time now.
Yeah.
Because they're done. So, hey,
It just
you make
extends the life.
You make
a little bit.
decisions on the best information you have at the
Yeah.
time, just like we're trying to do,
Yeah.
But otherwise,
The meeting was well attended.
I thought so. For first, I left a little over the first hour mark, and I think when I left, one resident was walking in. I asked both R.A. Smith reps, because there was one at the table here with some drawings and one here, what they thought, and they said they said there were really no complaints. Other people just wanted to know how it was affecting their specific parcel and how if they might lose a tree, or how they would get in and out during construction.
Right.
So
For driveway.
they said they've been places where cops have had to show up and it's been crazy. And they said it was people were finding it, so.
I think people had a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, but I think that, and like I said before, I think they had their questions answered. They may not have agreed with them, but they understood. They understood, but they may not have agreed
Yeah, it was one of
completely.
the,
But
that's what adamant about Because right now, in the right of way, it's concrete.
Yeah.
And then like the other-
Oh, yeah, that individual, yes. Yeah, that's another one that didn't appreciate the decision made by the board to replace with asphalt and not replace in kind. He's another one that will take it to the nth degree.
Yeah.
I think he brought up litigation, so.
So it's right away, right away.
You know, going back, because I did a lot of road projects, if you do concrete and I've got concrete, it's up to you to replace it.
That's right.
You know, the village never replaced concrete with concrete. You know, so they have to cut, you know, hopefully they'll do a nice saw cut.
Yeah.
But if you want it down to the end, it's up to you to get your contractor in and do it.
Yeah,
That was the way it always was. You put it in, show risk.
correct.
And it wasn't a realtor guy to mortgages for 31 years. And nobody ever at a closing was like, oh, you know, those beautiful trees in the front yard. And nobody was like, oh, no, let's say they happen to be right away, or my hedges. You know, I love my hedges, and I'm not picking on the resident. He's got a valid claim. But guess what? If something gets done, guess where they happen to be? Or, you know, I had a former brother-in-law. He was on Caledonia, adjacent to a farm, a piece of land. And he's like, oh, I moved out here to you know, because it's quiet. And I go, it's quiet until that farmer sells it.
Hmm.
And then no offense, then people, and I get it, because none of us like change, but then they complain. Well, if you are on a road, or especially a major road, it could affect you someday. If you are on that farmer's field, because my dad owned a Christmas tree farm, all the people showed up at Racine County complaining, you know, and but things change, and people keep having babies, and you need more houses, you need more roads.
Yeah.
On the property that
So,
next to a park.
yeah,
But
that's
I
the
mean,
thing you're
the
getting.
ordinance
It's state
prohibits
land.
you putting anything in the right of way.
Yeah, and that's what I told the resident. I'm like, you know, most municipalities, including this one, prohibits you from putting anything in the right of way. And if you do, you're doing it at your own risk. And I said, I don't know how long you've been living here, but maybe the previous owner or 3 owners ago planted those and just did it on a Saturday, and they grew, and nobody, you know, the road wasn't done, or nothing was done with it, or it didn't affect it. So it was fine. It was just left there, and nobody said anything. And he's like, he didn't care. And I'm like, I understand. I get it.
He's also got, I know the resident just because he's done some nice improvements to his house, and he had to come in front of ARB, and I haven't walked nearly as much outside as I did, but I used to walk by, and he and his wife had some young kids, and I'm sure that with their dog acts like a natural fence, and when you take that away, I'm sure that's very scary for him.
Sure.
And I'm sure that's part of the reason why.
Absolutely. I totally understand.
You know, we understand the problem is they can bring all the lawyers they want. They're just gonna
It's the right
add
word.
to our lawyer costs. They're gonna lose.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're in the right away.
Well,
So-
the right lawyer will tell them that.
Well, hopefully the right lawyer tells them that on the initial free consultation. It doesn't have to come back for the second or third time, but that's.
Well, none of this is meant to be malicious either.
No, it doesn't. I mean, we don't want it to be, but
It is what it is. I mean, that is what comes with the improvements that have to be made. But so is the project is at what? This is the engineering project. We haven't committed to executing this. There are no bids out. This is the end, and it's 60% complete.
Yeah, that
in
was
terms of
the
engineering.
contract for when they got to the 60% completion rate. We have a public informational meeting to allow residents to come and see what's going on, what's happening with their property and stuff like that. And if they have any concerns or questions, address them now, because moving forward, we want to get to the 100% or 90% and have the public informational, another one to make sure that everything's good, and they can send it out for bid, because you don't want to get to the, 90% or 100% and you have a bunch of people that didn't know something was going to happen and start complaining, and then now you're paying the consultant to go back and redo stuff after because you're going to pay them for the 60 to 100, and then you got to go back, and now you're going to have to redo, and it's just going to cost more money. So you try to refrain from that happening.
so I know when this came out of this committee, which is my first meeting, this committee where I get to hear everything, not just, hey, here's how we looked at it, okay? And I didn't get to hear your good discussion. So when it got, and we had the 3 choices, obviously, we didn't want a pathway over to the side. we didn't want, the lanes any wider from 11 to 12, but, this committee recommended 4 foot wide. I think that's, for me in my ears, that's the biggest pushback is, hey, why couldn't this be 2 feet wide? And I was even one, hey, it's sort of what Caledonia has. It looks nice. It's safe. Being a walker, I just drove to sign checks, and there was a grandma hurting a 2-year-old on a tricycle in the right lane going south because they were getting over to park. And I know that because when I got off from signing checks, they were over to park, and she had a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old right against ages. And I'm like, oh my Lord, thank God it's not at the curve and it's back one road. But so from that standpoint, that extra room gives some safety. You live on the road. I mean, there's the positives and negatives. It takes people's yards and cuts out their driveways. So what was the genesis of you guys getting to 4 feet? If I could just be educated, and I'm not against it, just so.
I thought it was more of the happy medium, like try to.
Then that's
appease both
what I remember.
sides
That's what I
kind of
remember
thing.
at the board meeting too. I just didn't
I think
know
that's what it was.
the nuts and bolts of the
Wasn't it?
discussion in the committee.
I thought it was kind of the appeasing both sides. I thought that was the
Oh,
discussion.
there was a total separate version, there was wider versions. And
It was also putting it to one side, which I wanted no part of.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I don't want 2 sets of people walking and running and biking and grandkids on one side going against each other in either direction and somehow pushing that driveway.
I know we have, to kind of scale back, we actually had people that approached that said, why did you only do that?
Only with 4 feet, okay,
Because they wanted it more.
sure.
And, we explained why, but,
Sure.
because there was one individual that was, that expressed deep concern, and rightfully so, handicapped. So they take it upon themselves if they really enjoy walking or going for a walk, and they can't with where they live and be able to go to the park. She can't because of her wheelchair. So she wanted it wider. She wanted it bigger.
I was just asking, I had a gist, I just wanted.
It's hard, you're trying to make it best for everybody involved. It's just hard to make everybody happy. In the handout you gave from that resident, it sort of says, this is sort of a loophole to get around sidewalks. It's never came up for That's not true.
discussion,
Never.
I mean.
Not a
This is-
sidewalk, that's curb and gutter.
Yeah, it's curb and gutter. It's
Yeah,
all different.
that's a-
Yeah, I mean, and okay, so it's wider, so I get where he's coming from, but I never looked at it. I look at it, the road has to be safe, and.
And I tried to tell them, the actual footprint of the road isn't changing. It's just how it's laid out is changing, but the footprint of the road as it is right now, it's not changing. Just the lines and how it's orientated is
Still
changing,
30
that's
feet.
all. Yeah, everything's staying the same. So,
Yeah, people were very happy about actually a little bit of room on the walking. I didn't really have any negative feedback I heard.
Are these gonna be, this technical question, are they gonna be labeled or marked walking only?
no,
Because you're really gonna have a problem with bicycles.
no, it's called, they call it a pedestrian accommodation. So it kind of
It should be
generalizes
walking
that.
only. The bike should stay in the traffic lane and ride with traffic.
To Dave's point, can we mark it like that?
Yeah,
Is that allowed by the state?
Yeah, you can do anything you want. I don't know if,
I mean, if you're gonna go with it,
I don't
4
know.
feet is, this.
Yeah, I would ask, I don't know if there's a legality thing to that or not. I don't think so. I think you can define it as anything you want. The only thing is, me personally, because I look at the budget for DPW, I don't want to pay for it. Because you're gonna have to maintain that sucker like every 2-3 years unless you do it in epoxy, which not many people do anymore. You'll get it initially done with epoxy and it might last for 6 or 7 years, but with us plowing it and everything like that. But eventually you're gonna have to get into that rotation where you're gonna have to, redo it and pave it or paint it all the time. And that costs a lot of money. That's not just a guy standing on a truck driving and painting a line. That's a guy getting out of the truck, putting a stencil down, spraying it by hand. They're gonna charge you arm and a leg. So if I don't have to put that, it's just gonna cost a lot more money in the
Now,
future.
specifically market pedestrian or.
Yeah, just to put that symbol on there that says the walking person, or we'll put walking path or walking only, or do something to that nature. Yeah.
How do you get pushback on that? Walking only.
I'm
And
People are gonna read that
we
either.
agree that that's not a good idea. You know, people
Yeah.
Might keep
complain
it-
on one side or the other. You can't-
And what's the situation today? It's a disaster.
I don't want it in my
It is,
front
you know,
either. I'll say that. I don't want it on my side. Go put it on your
I
side.
used to walk outside almost all the time. Wasn't really cool. And now it's just easier for me. And we got a puppy, you know, I just gotta have him on the treadmill all the time. And I walked with my dad who came up from Alabama, and there's some drop offs over by Lighthouse, and you know, and
Did you know that we've been illegal for a long, long time because we're actually supposed to have a guardrail on that dip by, I think it's Hunt Club on the north side of the road?
oh yeah,
It
yeah.
falls off like really, and we're
Yeah.
supposed to have a guardrail
That
there.
makes sense now that you say that.
I've been without one for a long time. So I heard that from the consultant.
Would that get put in as part of the project? Or is that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
Okay, that's the whole point. Bring us up to date.
So
So
let's,
we're at 60%.
Yeah, it's just kind of like the recommendation to move forward. I don't think it needs to go to board, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, then it goes to board. But a recommendation
So
to
we
tell
get a
them to
motion to-
move forward and complete the design as
as
planned.
we
Voted
I
for
guess.
it.
Is the board aware of the cost differential?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it aware of the cost differential to put in the 4-foot blocking accommodation?
Are we aware of the cost differential?
Yeah.
There will be west of the existing path that goes north and south and east of the park because there's nothing there right now. So yes, the pavement and that stuff will.
Well, and the storm sewer has to be rejiggered. You know, I saw the estimate was like 700 grand.
Based, yeah, well, it's an estimate, but yeah, there is they didn't televise the storm or anything like that, so I don't know where I think it was more of if it needs to be replaced or not. I don't know if it's relatively new, so I don't think it's going to need to be
Well,
replaced.
From the budget, the
And
budget
that's-
has changed, and there's about 400 grand in the stormwater budget that wasn't there in the original budget. And that's the result of going wider on the road. Because. the
Yeah,
storm-
Well, it's-
again, you gotta remember that CFP was a starting point.
Yeah, no,
You say that, Tom.
Yeah, that's-
Everybody.
It was kind of like a
Everything,
placeholder.
everything is now you learn, and you sometimes learn more than you ever learned. And sometimes that happens in life,
Then
Yeah.
from the committees and the board, they wanted the pedestrian accommodations.
so.
well, just so they know they're paying for it.
Yeah, I think it's storm, but I think it's ditches too. Like
Most-
they need
most
to
of it's
adjust.
Storm ditches.
ditching and
they
stuff,
have to
yeah.
move Things to accommodate the wider footprint.
Well, there's no real wider footprint. I don't.
Well, you add 8 feet, that's. yeah, 4 feet.
Oh,
Right.
well, east
Yeah.
of the park and west of the path. Sure.
Yeah, yeah, you're adding 8 feet, so I mean. it's
Well,
plus one.
Well, you're narrowing the road too, so you're accommodating, you're getting that, and you're putting shoulders
The
in where
lane
there should
size,
be,
what
and the
you're
lane
saying,
size
yeah.
is shrinking. So you're not really adding 8 feet. You are adding, but you're not adding 8 feet per se. You're just shrinking and utilizing what's already there. I was never told that the ditches were gonna change and we're gonna enter
Well,
farther into
looking
the
at the
residence
drawing,
road.
There's a lot of change in the drainage, especially
Proposed, yes.
east of the park. And
Yeah.
There's a lot of changes. in there. And
Yeah,
it's all about-
well, they don't have ditches, so they should. But yeah,
Yeah, we should have proper ditches.
shouldn't use the road as a travel for water. That's bad. You want to crown it off and get it into the ditches as soon as you can. It'll extend the life of the road a lot longer. But yeah, so it's just a recommendation, I guess, right? To
Just the action to make that if you're fine with the 60% mark of what that they've done so far and you don't want to
Feedback.
go backwards.
and go to
One
a
other thing I
different.
noticed on the drawings, and I thought from the RFP, they were supposed to keep the water out of the road. It looks like the water's in the road for most of that road.
It is underneath the path, yes.
Well, there's areas where it's like in the center of the road. It's a lot, not just under the path, it's in the road.
Let's go take a look.
Which one are you referring to?
And it's,
I mean, I told them to try to keep it on the road as much as they can, and maybe based on design, they couldn't. For whatever reason. I don't know. But I know it's traveling on the south side of the road for the majority of it.
Isn't there one where the water main comes in and it switches to the other side of the road? Isn't that why it would be? I think I remember hearing.
on the south side for the most part.
I don't, down here, it's well into it.
That's Caledonia. And we started,
Now we're starting here.
we are, but that's Caledonia's water, that's their responsibility from Valley Trail at the pit, at the meter pit right here to Main Street, that's Caledonia's property. That's not ours, because they decided that they wanted to replace it. That's their choice.
And they're gonna put it under our road.
Not a road.
Yeah, I mean, that's
So when they get,
what they're
when they get
proposing.
something, you know, should ask them to move it down so that if we have to do maintenance, we're not digging up the freaking road. You know, if this is down along the edge. You know. that's-
Proposed edge, yes. Yeah,
You know, so if you're in the walking path and you're not closing the road to do maintenance, you know, something happens, you know, valve grows or whatever, and now you're digging the road.
yeah.
So,
But as far as like this goes, what you were referring to, that's all Caledonia. They own that.
should ask them. if-
They actually
Are
own
they
this.
gonna replace it then? Or
Yes.
not?
Yes, they are paying for it.
We should ask
They're
them.
paying for that and they're paying for the meter replacement.
That's when you notify them of the project.
Yeah.
Jump on ours.
I'll talk to them.
That's a good point. It's a good thing to say to them because, yeah,
You don't want it in the middle of the road if you're gonna fix something.
I'm sure we all see that brand new road and then 2 weeks later.
oh,
somebody's
that
digging it up.
always happens.
So you're gonna have mortality on this project, guaranteed. You're gonna fire that thing up and a week later something's gonna blow because they didn't put it together.
Yeah. That is crazy. I don't see that.
It's their
Oh,
road too,
perfectly
right?
good concrete.
The westbound lane from Birch Creek to Main Street is Caledonia's. The eastbound lane at the center line going from Main Street all the way is ours. But Caledonia owns the road on the westbound lane.
And so, I guess what we need is a motion to, accept the 60% performance on the engineering, concept by, R.A. Smith and to, approve
So moved.
the,
Basically make the motion.
I'm sorry.
So
Basically
moved.
motion, make a motion. I'd like to say that's my motion.
Okay,
Second.
so the motion was made
So,
in second?
Second.
No. Okay. Those in favor?
I,
Aye. So it's 3-0. The second item is discussion and possibly take action on the 4 Mile Road closure during construction.
Yeah, so this was one of the most unpopular requests or concerns during the public informational meeting. And just because of the inconvenience. So in order to make the project run smoothly and in order to cut the costs and not incur higher costs because you have the road open to full traffic, the request is to send it out for bid as a road closure for local traffic only. So basically during the water main portion of it, they will make it a one-way road only, heading westbound only for people that live in the area. They will close off Main Street completely, not allow anybody to come from Caledonia into Wind Point. They need to go around in the detour route and then come through Lighthouse, the curve, and then enter their local only for Wind Point Road, Old Pine, White Sands, Hunt Club, all those people. Valley Trail, those people can get by getting through Caledonia on the backside there. So
So it's Hunt Club. Is it Viking?
well, this is
Yeah,
this is a major project. This isn't a mill and overlay.
No.
So this is a major project, and if you've ever seen a major road project, now I haven't been part of one, so I haven't had to deal with the roadway, and I have sympathy for the folks, but at the same time, this is a once in any of our lifetimes in that section of the road type project.
Mhm.
And it is what it is to get it done and keep the costs down.
yeah, they will do it will be part of the bid. It'll be part of the scope of the project that they need to obviously make accessibility for the roads and for the driveways and
Sure,
stuff like that.
No doubt.
They're gonna have stuff exposed. They just don't want a lot of people in the way for the water. And then when the road portion starts, that's when it really is gonna even get tighter. Because the way I was told is that if they keep the road open for traffic, for the road, they're gonna dig out a portion of the road, then just a section of it, and then pave it. And then you're gonna have a bunch of cold joints, which is not good. And then you're gonna have the paver leave the job site. And then they're gonna move all the barricades and move everything and close off the road again, like open it up, but there'll be like dead ends on both sides, right? For a portion of it. And then they'll dig up and they'll grade it all out, and then they'll call the paver back and have him do it. And good luck getting him back, because nobody's gonna really want to keep leaving the job site and coming back. Paver wants to show up on site when it's done and graded and compacted and ready to go, and they want to start laying asphalt and be done in a day or two. Call it a day. That's where you're going to get the cheapest price. If you want to close the road off, it's going to jack up the price considerably. It's going to jack up. Let me correct that. It's going to jack up the bids, not the price. It's just the bids.
That way,
It's kind of like the culvert. Originally, from what I understood, you guys Baxter set up the culvert where they were going to have full traffic to be able to go through.
Yeah.
And the price was way up there because people are like, we have to deal with all this stuff, all these nuisances and these problems. Then they decided to just have one way, or was it completely blocked off? The second time they decided, when it got rebid,
Yeah, we had.
and the price went down. Not a lot, but the price went down.
Yeah.
Same
What is
idea.
For me, what's the best way for that road to last the longest and not have those cold joints? What does it mean for the road then? As far as the closure?
Well, you just close off the road to local traffic only, and they have to deal with it. It's no different than any other project around. You have to give accessibility to residents that live on the, you're not gonna make them park
Yeah, no, I
4
get it.
blocks away.
So it's
You know,
one way
carry their
traffic
groceries.
going west.
Yeah, so there'll be one-way traffic
For the
coming
duration.
from Lighthouse
And then they'll
Drive
just rip
to,
through the one lane and then they'll come back the other way.
correct.
That's the way I would have done. That's just me.
Well, I think your point about the cold joints, or,
Well,
if
you
it's
see-
done in sections, not only is it gonna cost it.
Oh, you see the deterioration just
But
driving
it's-
around different
yeah.
municipalities because
That's
they
where
can't
it
do that.
fails and the cracks
Oh, yeah.
are.
I mean, the paved job that we have on the road, I don't know who the contractor was, but the roads really held up. I mean, so now you compare our road to what the city of Racine's doing from Melvin to to Gould, in that zoo area. I don't know who in God's name did that. Maybe, I don't- but, oh my word,
It's
they
been a
gave that,
disaster.
you could, the second I saw the seams. So that's really important to me in this bid.
You're gonna have a cold seam at the center line.
Oh, I.
Pave one way, come back the other. You're gonna have
Oh,
that,
man.
but you don't want them to stop.
You almost can't tell where our seam is as well. as
Unless
some places.
well, I don't even say it, but unless the price of oil goes through the roof. It happened one time where we were doing a project and the price of oil went through the roof, and concrete was the same cost as asphalt. And it's like, you're gonna get a hell of a lot more mileage out of concrete than you would asphalt. So they went with concrete, and that you can, because you gotta have joints all over the place. So you're able to do stuff differently a little bit to a certain extent, but asphalt, not so much.
Is there any way to pave that in one?
You'd be amazed as how fast they are. They'll pave that thing in like a day and a half.
But
It'll be
without
done.
a seam, you have to go to wider
It's
equipment.
constant, nonstop trucks, and they'll just be paving like crazy,
So
and it'll
that's
be
one
done.
lane, one half of it, right?
No,
Or do they
that'd
do
be
the
pretty
whole way?
fast. I mean, this is a long stretch, but I mean, the last one we did, it was like 3/4 of a mile, and they were done in a day. I think they were done at like 5 o'clock or something.
That I get. I understand that. I think you were talking about a seam in the middle.
Well,
Oh, no,
I'm
you
talking
can't,
about how bad
because you
it
need
is.
the crown, and they need to have the adjustment stuff. You can't pour the entirety of the
Yeah,
road in
right.
one
So-
thing.
Just addressing
You
that.
can't, I mean, I guess you probably could. I mean, they probably have a paver that might be able to do that, but I don't think so.
Very wide equipment.
Yeah, and you gotta get the crown and
stuff for
everything
that
right,
reason.
so I don't know if that would work. Plus you gotta get the trucks that need to dump into it. It's just the whole thing, so.
So what are we voting on this or approving as far as the closure language? Because all I care about is that we
I
don't
think it's in
have,
the packet.
we don't.
They showed a detour route and how they were gonna have traffic flow and how they were gonna have it
Emergency
blocked off.
vehicles or do we come spawn? Everything was out of Caledonia fire.
We'll just have to let them know. I don't think so.
That's gonna be critical. You're gonna have.
They
to
will.
have some
They're gonna have to make an adjustment, no different than if we had a major incident where we had to block off the road because we didn't get it restored back in time and they couldn't get through. We need to notify the fire and they need to make their adjustments on how they're gonna
What I'm
approach it.
saying is if they need to get up to Old Pine or up on,
Sure.
you know, that's gonna add, 5 minutes or more to their response time to get an ambulance
Yeah,
up over there. They gotta be able to come down that road, even if it's westbound only.
Yeah.
that's,
I mean,
that's a,
people have
con-
to know that.
that's a conversation I can have with the fire chief and, that over in Caledonia and find out how they approach it and how they think, what they think
By the
about it.
time they get down through Lake Meadow, back to Lighthouse, up and over,
And even if we have.
Well,
somebody's
technically-
gonna be dead.
Well, technically, they could go back, they could go through Valley Trail. They could get in on 4.5 mile road, go
That's
down
true.
Valley Trail and then get on and beat the barricade at Main Street. They could do that.
Or,
Then they don't have to go all the way around. They could just, cut right through.
They just cut through the one way on Main Street. I'm sure they would do that. They can do whatever they want.
yeah.
Where you put up a temporary sign to motorists that says, hey, there could be.
I think there's I think there's an issue with this they're aware of all this stuff. I
They
mean,
do it all the time.
there's probably the same situation for what you just described in Racine.
We're not the first one.
You got people that, live on that road that may need attention and you're gonna detour them around and how they adjust and there's ways around that. There's conversations. I would definitely reserve the answer for the fire chief and how he would approach it though. He would have the best way
I
of
don't see
dealing
anything
with
in
that.
the packet regarding the
It's in
closure.
the design package.
In the design. I guess your
So-
motion would just be
Sorry,
to make it a
Yeah.
one-way.
Oh, it's not in the meeting agenda. There was another email which had to do with, so that,
So then they'll be able to rip the whole side with this closure. They'll be able to rip out the whole side and do it.
For the mains,
So we.
they're gonna be
don't have-
working basically in the ditch for the most
No, I
part.
get that, but I'm talking about with the closure approving language of it being a one-way, they're gonna be able to then do the road where we're not gonna have the pieces. They're gonna be able to rip that sucker out.
Yeah.
And
There's gonna be
last one.
inconveniences, there's gonna be exposed manholes. There's gonna be
Yeah, I
a little
get
bit of a drop. They're gonna be driving on gravel.
I get it.
There's gonna be stuff like that, but yeah, they'll have access to get to where they need to go at all times.
one way.
It's just that they won't be able to drive straight down 4 Mile Road and get out on Main Street. They're gonna have to stop, they're gonna have to turn around eventually
I get you. All right.
or go their way out Valley.
So I
Trail.
guess your motion would just be to make it a one-way road westbound and 4 Mile Road for local traffic only.
And I can
All
let
right.
them
Can I
know.
adopt that language and say that that's my motion?
Sure.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
I'll say.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the motion carries 3-0. Is there any other, do we have any referrals at this point?
1 and 2 will go to village board on Thursday.
That's next week then.
You're still gonna have obviously all this, we all know this, in case if we have to get up and do the same thing.
Yeah, I'll have it. I'll
That's probably a good one.
Just-
I'll figure out a better way. Maybe we can tape it to a wall or something. Figure out.
That's fine.
That's fine, we can all get up. Sure.
I think that's fine. Do we have a motion
I'll
to
make a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you
have a
very
great
much.
Fourth, have a safe fourth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank God for the